So Pradyumn has a couple of questions. He had a lot of thoughts that he wanted to share. Hi, Pradyumn.
Good evening, and namaste to every one of you who've joined. And it's great, as always, to have with us Mr. Ritesh Kedar. I have to be that formal in this session, unfortunately, because Ritesh is a great friend. And the moment we conceived this idea of organizing something which is talking about organizational psychology, which is talking about workplace psychology, we were both excited and a little bit scared at the same time. Scared because both of us in the respective fields have done a bit, but both of us don't find ourselves to be the best persons maybe talking about. And hang on, that's what entrepreneurship is all about, right? So without wasting any time of yours and welcoming all of you once again, let me thank all of you who've taken out time on a busy Tuesday evening, which is a weekday. You could be doing anything at this point in time, but you chose to be here, and that needs to be applauded, that needs to be respected. So thank you all of you who've joined in today. And before I begin, I think the poster made it really clear, right? Ritesh and I will be talking about workplace psychology. And today I have a lot of questions to Ritesh about how exactly it is. How has he managed successfully a team of over almost around 30 people at Thumbtack Technologies? So all this will be discussed with Ritesh, and I hope all of you find this session very interesting. So Ritesh, without further ado, if you permit, shall I start firing my questions?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you so much. And by the way, for all those of you who know me and have seen me, will be a bit surprised because for the first time I have so many questions that I'm literally cheating for the questions from a paper. So Ritesh, the first question to you is tell us something about working in teams. Let's start from the basics. Tell us something about working in teams.
Working in teams. So I feel I have seen a lot of guys, saying that we are great team players. But what it takes to become a great team player is what is important that needs to be talked. Uh, I feel working in teams is a very uh, distinctive and excellent skill that one should possess. It's not that straightforward when you say that I am a great team player. Most of the times you'll see that 80% of the work is being done by 20% of the people. And that is the imbalance that you will see in all the teams. And this is more because the one who does more work gets the more work. So ये culture generally होता है. That's why most of the work burden is driven by 20% of the people in a team. So to combat that, I feel working in a team has to be a well balanced, well allocated task. One. Two is the complementary skill set that you bring to the table, I feel. So what happens when you choose a team? Say, for example, you have been given a project and you are given your choice of people who should be joining into that project. Say, for example, 5 people. Mostly what happens is people will go in and choose their buddies or their favorite, people. So instead of that, I think you should choose the ones who are complementary in your skills. Say, for example, I am from a tech background and somebody really loves coding, for example, but he does not understand that much of beauty or maybe the user experience or maybe marketing and branding aspect of it. So it's always good to take on board a person who knows that better so as to you share the complementary skills with them. So then eventually when you churn out your product, it is well-rounded, 360 rounded, degree rounded product, or any task that you're completing, any project that you're completing. So that would be my take on what it takes to become a great, build a great team as well as become a great team player. Uh, Pradyuman, do you want me to point out any certain aspects of it because it is a very big umbrella term?
Yes. In fact, that was definitely going to be my second question.
Tell
what
me.
exactly it is.
So any specific aspect of the question you want to point out, that what skill set do you require, or how do you choose a team, or like
Okay,
how?
so since we are discussing about the psychological aspect primarily, let me put it this way. What is the importance of being a good listener at work? So we've formed a team that is complementary, all right, but what if those two people don't get well together, don't gel well together? So how important do you think is active listening a part of being a great team player? One, and in general, basically, what is the importance and relevance of being a good listener at work?
So you might have seen in a team, ठीक है, there is one guy who wants to say something, तो वो बोल रहा है, and वो just बोलने से just पहले ही there is another guy who then puts his view forward, ठीक है, instead of acknowledging what the person has said. ठीक है, तो वो ऐसा होता है ना कभी कभी, दैट लुक, आई हैव फेस दिस इश्यूज, और दूसरा बोलता है अरे ये तो कुछ नहीं, लुक, आई हैव फेस दिस लेवल ऑफ इश्यूज. सो सो टीम में भी ये होता है मेजरली. बीइंग अ गुड लिसनर डज नॉट मीन दैट कि आप उसके बोलने का वेट कर रहे हो, and as soon as he is completed his words, then you suddenly start telling about your problems. I feel a good listener is acknowledging the person first, and then understanding if he needs any examples from his perspective as well or not. A lot of times, being a good listener is not a solution driven approach. It is, I have also learned very hard way, it is not a solution driven approach. It is majorly a what do I say, a friend driven approach or a psychologist driven approach. So pretend, if you want to be a good listener, pretend that you are a psychologist, and your friend or whoever team member has come to you and he's talking to you about something. Pretend that you want to just listen to him and acknowledge what he is saying. So probably that moment he might be not looking for a solution as of now, as of that on that moment. Just acknowledge it, and then if he requires us, ask him, do you need a solution? And if he says yes, then give the solution. Otherwise, just listen. So I think I have seen this lacking in a lot of teams, especially when in a hierarchical organization. So you have a leader, team leader, n+1, n+2, and then your subordinates come to you and says that we have been dealing with this, there's too much of stress of work and this that. And then what happens is, instead of acknowledging it, the the guy says, the supervisor says, तो क्या हुआ, I am also doing it. तो क्या हुआ, I also am doing it since till night 11 p.m. But that is, I feel, completely, it's wrong. And people will do work for you only if you acknowledge the work. Otherwise, मतलब हमारे इसमें भी होता है, we serve to the clients and then they expect us to deliver things on time and all that, and then there are a lot of things that arise around it. So I feel that acknowledgement is being good listener.
Great. And now that you've brought in this point of being acknowledging whilst in a conversation or just simply being a good listener, I think you are also trying to mean in one way that if we are talking particularly about teams and working in teams, this also means not just listening, but this acknowledgement part also means taking feedback positively. Is that?
Yeah. So I think taking feedback is one part of the game. So say if he has a feedback, then he'll come to you. Otherwise, there are a lot of times wherein he does not have a feedback. He's just coming to you just because he or she wants to just share, something with you. And when it comes to taking feedbacks, I feel that what I've observed is, everyone says that we are open to taking constructive feedbacks, but in
Mhm.
real, no, I mean, rarely people are, like hardly 10% of the people would be open to taking feedbacks. I think we lost Pradyum. I think network might be low, but I'll still answer this question. So a lot of people are, they say that ki, yeah, we are open to taking feedbacks, all in, अब मुझे बताओ क्या गलती हुई है, this that. But जब सामने वाला, if they point out your mistake, mostly in a team setting, the one who is taking the feedback gets too much biased. तो वो कभी feedback नहीं ले पाता. And this is, I mean, this is not centric to uh, just workspace. This is centric to even your friend circle. It is centric to your, personal life. It is centric to almost, all the aspects of your life. So taking a feedback constructively is not a trait that is professional in nature. I feel it is as well a trait which is individual oriented. It is an individual characteristic, I should say. So yeah,
Right, right,
Pradyumna,
right.
that was my take.
I absolutely agree to you on this that it is predominantly a subjective trait. It is one's subjective attribute or whatever you'd like to call it, personality trait that makes him or her that way. If
Yeah.
he or she is, otherwise not. But this is a trait that can be developed, is all that I wanted to add.
Yes.
So we've talked about acknowledgement, we've talked about, taking feedback positively, constructively. It is difficult for a lot of people, but for now let me know what is the importance of mentorship in workplace.
Oh, great
I
question.
know you are a very good mentor for your team, but like, what is it that you do, and what is the importance of mentorship in workplace?
Yeah. So very interesting question. A lot of people. So there are two things to this question. One is the part of mentor, and second is the part of mentee. Uh, People do want a great mentor in their life. They should take a great mentor in their life. Why? Because mentor generally has seen the world wider than what you have, because he has more experience in that field. He has seen more case studies than you, have met a lot of people than you, etc., etc. uh, Mentorship can also be taken in a variety of areas of your life, not only professional areas. Say for example, if you are doing a job, if you are running a business, or maybe if you are a student, in every aspect of your life you can get a mentor. Not only that, you can also get a mentor for your personal life, which is generally a life coach, like we have Pradyuman here. So a mentor is, I feel, a supplement for your life. You know what supplement is, right? It is just an additional boost to what you are doing daily. You have your experiences, you have your learning from your life, but if you have somebody to talk to, somebody who is experienced, who will guide you through the right path, is always good. Right now, what happens is, most of the people, when they face with a challenge, what do? They go and talk to their friends. Okay. Now the point is, friends, although they have great intentions, they are not the right people to guide you through, because they also are going through their mess of their life. And most of the time they will probably guide you to some random path, which is probably not proven that much. The probabilistic success of that path is quite low, and they will have good intention in their heart for sure. But if they have good intention, does not mean that the path they are guiding through for you is going to be right. Sometimes they do take uh, mentorship or guidance from their parents as well. But the point is, not all the time parents are going to be right, especially when it comes to today's age. Parents have been getting their experience of their age, which is probably 20 30 years down the line. And then when you ask them, of course they are going to guide you in the right intentions, but not always. Say for example, if you are confined with a very complicated situation in your office, if you ask your parents, they will guide you with the right intention. If you ask your friends, they will guide you with the right intention. But if you ask a mentor, he will give you the professional way of getting out of the situation, solving that problem. So that is wherein I think mentorship comes into picture. A great thing that you should do is, you should definitely get a mentor. Now the second part of thing is the mentee versus mentor thing. Now पहले जमाने में ऐसा होता था that गुरुजी होते थे, and ऐसा होता था that जो शिष्य होता था, उसका डेफिनेशन उस गुरुजी के ऊपर से होता था, मतलब ये उनका शिष्य है, लाइक दैट. So I feel that kind of definition is still valid today. I feel if a mentor generally subconsciously chooses his mentee, okay? If a mentor chooses his mentee, and of course the mentee is having that vibe, set all that respect and all the all the mindset set for their mentor, then that relationship goes far beyond the lifespan, or far beyond the whatever their relationship is. But say for example, if you go for a mentor who is not that accepting you as a mentee, then mostly it's a very short-lived relationship, I feel. So it's not that you just go in and you just take mentorship for someone, you pay some money, or you sometimes you just find somebody who is great at doing something that you always wanted to, and you get that them as a mentor. uh, it's not just that straightforward. I feel the mentor also plays a big role in accepting the mentee as a mentee. So I'm sure Pradyum, you might have a bigger say in this, because this is exactly your field of focus. So I would want to hear more from you as well.
So, see, this is, I think, the privilege of being the second speaker is once the first speaker or the better speaker has spoken, there's nothing much left to speak. So, Ritesh, you've already covered most of the points. The only thing I'd love to add over here is that why a mentor is important is primarily because he or she is giving you a bird's eye view and a third person view. So, what that means is, whomsoever you know is actually a part of your circle. He or she is in some way at the same plane that you are, in the same dimension. Now, a mentor, particularly if they are a professional mentor, will always have a 360-degree view or a holistic view, a bird's eye view, or a third person view, whatever you'd like to call it. And this is wherein their expertise lies. So, a mentor might not necessarily be more skilled than you, but his or her perspective is what matters for you to grow in whatever journey you are. So there could be business mentors, there could be life mentors, and so on and so forth, relationship. So many types of coaches out there. So predominantly and essentially what they are doing is this, giving you a different perspective, a holistic perspective. And in fact, now that you've talked about mentorship, I think you also meant in some way that skill development is essentially a continuous process, right?
Yes.
Under the mentor or with the mentor.
Yes, definitely. And I feel that uh, having a mentor, as you rightly mentioned, a third person perspective in your life is greatly essential, especially when you become a mentee. You automatically keep your ego aside, because now you are with your hands like, please give me your wisdom, like that. So if, say for example, if your partner, or if your father, or if your mother, or if your friend is kind of criticizing you, you probably wouldn't take it that much. But if a mentor is telling you already, you might be open to that. That is one. Two is, I feel a mentor has a capability to unlock a lot of your conditioning, bad conditioning, if it is on you. So for example, I had a lot of, and also might have a lot of bad conditioning on me because of the way I have been born and brought up, which might be stopping me subconsciously or unconsciously to become the greater person that I want to. And that a mentor can rightly spot, which your friends, family circle won't be able to spot. He can rightly spot that, and he can exactly pinpoint, boss, you need to work on this, because this is a bullshit that you're giving to yourself. Just stop it and come out of it, like that. So I feel a mentor's role is quite wise. It's quite underrated. I feel everyone should have the mentor.
Okay, and now that we've discussed about mentorship, how do you or how to motivate teams at the workplace
How to
as
motivate
a
teams
leader?
as a leader? Okay, I think when we talk about extrinsic motivation, which is an external motivation, um, there are a lot of factors that you can do. Okay, there are a lot of factors that you can do, which includes setting the right culture, leading by example, setting the right vision for your people. But I believe a lot on intrinsic motivation, a motivation which is internal to the individual. If the individual, say for example, is a marketing guy or is a sales guy, and irrespective of how much motivation I give him externally, that is going to be always short lived. The responsibility of the leader is to find the intrinsic motivation that that member or that that team member has, and then just you know uh, act as a catalyst for his intrinsic motivation, his internal motivation. Otherwise, being a motivational guy in his life is, I have not seen that to be very far lived. It lives for some time, but again it goes down. So I think making the guy, the your team member work intrinsic on his own goals is something that a great leader should do. That is the motivation that everybody likes. I'll give you an example. Say for example, somebody likes to paint, okay, and you build a system wherein, when if you come to know about if somebody likes to paint, you ask them, have you painted, or how was your paint going on, or whatever creativity that you are doing, is it going great? That much asking would set an example for the guy to, oh, my subordinate has asked me about my uh you know uh my hobby or my passion, and then he gets more motivated. The relationship also improves, and eventually if there is something that needs to be done, when any bridges that needs to be crossed, the people do stand for you. And I think that is something that I really believe in. Of course, that requires a lot of time to be given, because you need, if you have a bigger team, you have to understand personally who is doing what. Other than that, I feel uh, challenging your team members sometimes with enough level of problems is also good motivation. We are humans and we are designed for boredom, to come out of boredom. So if you give your people a very bored work, mostly they will soon be not so motivated, give it up, start thinking about what's going on in my life, etc., etc. But if you are giving them challenging work time to time, they will definitely believe in doing great work, doing things for the good, and stay motivated as well. So I think these are the 2 points that I generally take care of. Of course, it's again a big wide motivation is a quite wide topic, but I think these are the 2 3 points that I generally focus on. Pradyum.
Right. In fact, when I talk of motivation, particularly in organizational psychology, it's usually to do with extrinsic motivation, because intrinsic, we really can't do much about it, to be very honest. And I'm glad, in fact, I was looking at my questionnaire and you pretty much answered my next question. I was going to ask you about how to build this camaraderie between team leader and team, and certain things about self care for employees and all those things. This is in example you showed us a very beautiful path. Self care need not necessarily means big long luxurious vacations. It could simply be amongst a team, just even talking something as simple as about maybe the cricket match last night, or some hobby that you know of about your team member, that could be talked about, that could be promoted. Simple things like these, I think will go in a long run, it will go a long way in helping strengthen the team bond. And with this being said, what, as a business person somewhere who's into the corporate rat race, I would say that, what is the relevance of psychological well-being at the workplace, leading teams? What is your take on this?
So very again a great question, Pradyum. I feel this topic of psychology and psychology at a workspace mental wellness at the workspace has been underrated for very, very long time and has suddenly got way too relevant in today's time. I feel there are a couple of reasons for this. One is a heavy competition. We are working, we are, just a sec, Pradyuman. Yeah. So we are in a world wherein we are faced with very heavy timelines, delivery tasks to be completed fast. In fact, we are also bombarded with a lot of information all the time. You open
Right.
any social app, which is maybe Instagram or whatever, and all the information, all these shorts going on, and these are actually reducing your, focus span. If you combine with a stressful life with a short focus time span, what you get out is a great anxiety out of your mind. And in today's works, in today's work culture, being anxious is seen in almost all the corporates, I feel. I'm sure that would be also the case in our teams as well. So now I'll take this opportunity to again address this issue. uh, I know a guy, this is a case study. I know a guy who suddenly started forgetting a lot of things, very important things. Okay. His retention became way too low. So, for example, you had a meeting at 9 o'clock. We discussed it like just couple of hours before, and somehow he did not schedule it, or he skipped his calendar or something. He just forgot. It was a very important meeting, and he did it a lot of times. Now, the thing was, when we actually sat down and understood what was wrong, what we came to know was he was always keeping his mind busy into a so-called productive work. Now, what is a so-called productive work? He was always watching all these podcasts, which are good. He was always watching all these reels. He was always into grabbing all the information that internet has to give, and he never gave a silence space for his brain. तो हो ये जाता था that just because he did not have that silence for his brain, that empty time, the empty boredom time for his brain was not able to actually recall what all thing was prioritized for his life in that day. And he just kept on losing all the track of things. His focus time went drastically down. Now, when we discovered this, okay, this might be wrong, let's just address this challenge. We told him to reduce all these things and schedule time, hour of days for these specific activities, and take out time for boredom in his life and give empty spaces. Suddenly his focus came up, his ability to recall a lot of events of his life, his daily schedule suddenly became up. He was able to be more creative, he became less anxious, and his productivity in his work, the solution oriented mindset that people are looking for to in their day-to-day life, suddenly became up. So I feel this is all related to understanding your own mind, understanding your own psyche. And if you're not able to understand that, then take a help of any psychologist or any consultant, or any probably a wise friend or mentor would do. But I feel in today's age, it's very much essential if you're having these symptoms of forgetting things, feeling too much anxious. Oh, ye karu. Oh, this is going on. This is a lot of mess going on. So much of haywire things going on. If you're having this thing in your life, you need an attention. You need a help of someone else, and there is nothing derogatory in that to take help from people. In fact, if you have observed all these big interviews of Priyanka Chopra and I don't know Ranbir Kapoor and all these people, uh like bigger entrepreneurs as well, all of these guys go for therapy quite daily. I mean daily as in quite frequently, monthly or whatever, bi-monthly, maybe weekly also. The reason they go for all these therapies is because they want to give empty space to their mind so that their mind can work on reprioritizing a lot of things in their life. So, Pradyum, again, I thoda sa dragged a bit, but this was essential to be told that psychology in workspace is a lot more important than how it was like 5 years back. Right now, all the things are moving so fast because of technology. Our minds are not designed to work that fast. So you need a break. So yeah, Pradyum, hope that I answered your question.
Yes, in fact, just to continue on the last bit of it, what you said, I was just recently reading about evolutionary history and having a discussion with a great friend, and he was pointing it out that look, evolutionary history has been such that a person hardly worked for 120 days or 150 days a year, and that too much less than what the corporate rat race provokes us to do these days. And I was like, "No, sir, why? How?" And then he pointed out, like, take the example of India, agriculture, just 2 to 3 months once, or 2 months twice a year. That was it. Then you had Chaturmas, which were like rainy season, where you absolutely stopped everything that is considered productive and focus on your spiritual path. Then there were so many festivals, so almost half the year went in there. And like this, he pointed out, and I was like, yeah, 120 days of work. I would love that kind of lifestyle. And because there were millennia that our human race passed in those kinds of living condition, just the last 2 to 3 centuries of industrial revolution is not going to erase that evolutionary memory. And if that is not the case, what it simply means is we have to evolve with time to tackle whatever the circumstance has been created, because you cannot just for the sake of it reverse the entire development. You cannot do away with technology. We have to live with it. How is the question? And I think you beautifully pointed out, almost concisely and precisely, about what is the importance of psychological well-being at the workplace. Now, in the same breath, I'd love to ask you, okay, this is the importance. A lot of people might be aware about the importance, but as a team leader, how do you envisage that for these mental health challenges, what could be the possible mental health outcomes which are the need of the hour? Like if you were to list down just two or three that quickly come to your mind.
Outcomes you're talking about?
Yes, so one, okay, we are all aware about the importance of psychological well-being. Now it is in place. So if these kinds of practices or situations or systems are in place, what is the advantage as a leader that you are getting from your team? Or maybe just generally for the employees, what is it that they might be getting as an outcome?
Right. So I think the primary outcomes that you get when you practice all these de-stressing technique is of course productivity. Suddenly the work that you used to do in 5 hours, you can get done probably in less than 3 hours or 4 hours. So you become more focused and automatically become more creative and productive. So the productivity, churning out productivity is very high. The reason of you churning out the productivity high is because you can enter the productive flow states very easily, because now you're distressed completely and you have got this task in your hand. You can very easily enter into the task, complete the task in the flow, and get out of the task, jump to the second task. Becomes very easy. Versus when you are anxious, when you have this, oh, mess thing in your head and all that, is too much of stress going on. You get into the task, but you have all this, unconsciously, all these threads going on in your brain, and you can't focus on your work. So, of course, your productivity goes quite low. So, first thing is definitely productivity goes up. Second is the satisfaction and happiness. I believe that all of us do work because we like to do it. Otherwise, I would don't want people to do the work, because if you like the work, then only you do it. Otherwise, don't do it. So if you like the work and if you are focused into the work, you are distressed about it, you complete the work beautifully, you automatically get satisfied from your work. And being satisfied with your work, with your creation, is a gateway to happiness, I feel. So if I do something really great, if I if my team has done a project which is, they have delivered a project beautifully, I feel way too happy inside. And same goes with my team as well. When they create something, they deliver a great product, a client is happy, they also get way too happy. So all their work paid off. So second is of course the happiness. And third thing I would say is uh the productivity I covered up, the happiness also I covered up, right? The third thing I would point out here is uh when you start focusing on being de-stressed, you start practicing it as well. So it is a more or less iterative thing which makes you perfect in focusing. So this is going to be a long-term thing that you are doing. So if you do it for a month or two, automatically your brain adapts to that lifestyle of being productive, and it automatically become a personality of you to de-stress, focus, de-stress, focus. So I think these are the three top outcomes that I generally have observed. Of course, there are a lot of other outcomes as well, but these are the three top outcomes that I feel happens.
Yes, and in fact, just to add some perspective into it, meanwhile, Mohit has beautifully commented on one such technique he's been doing. I would say the stress tolerance also increases. So you actually become much more resilient, not just at your workplace, but even in life otherwise, which is a very important and a very good sign to have. Because, of course, if you are stress resistant or stress tolerant, it eases out the work pressure, even if deadlines are there, even if there's a boss sitting on your head to get things done faster. These things could help. So that is very nice to hear from you, Ritesh. And just before you add the other perspective, I'd love to fire the next question in the same breath, because again, I know you will be coming to that point. How do you become resilient at workplace? Not just in life, that of course is work, but how do you become resilient in life? And before that, please add on your perspective.
Okay. So I'll tell you, in today's world, becoming successful is easier than ever. Now you'll ask why. There was a lot of competition and this that. The reason being, people are less patient, people are less resilient, they give up easily, and they are distracted way too much than ever in the history of human civilization. That's why if you are just patient, you never give up, which is you become resilient, and you are not distracted easily, which is you're focused, the probability of you becoming successful is anyway way too higher. It is like, you have seen milk and cream. So when the cream automatically rises to the top, the cream has to not do anything separate. It is lighter, it automatically comes up on the top of the milk. The reason being, the rest of the milk is automatically down. And this is something that my mentor told me. My mentor was my boss, actually, my first boss. And he told me at that time, I think 8-9 years ago, he told me very simple thing: Ritesh, it's very easy to become a great programmer. So I said, how? It is because you just have to be an average. Rest of the people are just bad programmers. So the same thing goes right now, even in today's world. Being resilient is just being normal. You have to have a patience. You should not give up. मतलब एक थोड़ी सी चीज ट्राई कर ली, थोड़ा सा फेलियर आ गया, इट्स ओके, कीप ऑन डूइंग इट. फिर से फेलियर आ गया, ठीक है, कीप ऑन डूइंग इट. फिर से फेलियर आ गया, ठीक है, कीप ऑन डूइंग इट. गिव योरसेल्फ इनफ टाइम टू डू सर्टेन थिंग्स. डोंट गिव अप, and automatically you will become a resilient person. In fact, I don't know which book I read, and in that book there was a concept, I don't remember the exact concept, but the concept that was written was you're compounding. The concept was on compounding. So the amount of efforts that you're putting in, you will not see output for a very long time for the efforts that you're putting in, but you have to keep on giving efforts and keep on putting in. You have to seed the whole pipeline of efforts. And at the end, then comes a time when the big amplitude of returns come onto your way, which is what is, delaying the gratification is what I'm saying. So if you want to become successful, you're not going to get success that easily. It's very obvious. but you have to keep on trying, be patient for very, very long time. Automatically, the people who are not patient will give up. They will come out of the competition, and you will be the person who will be going ahead. But consistency is the key, of course. You can't do, I have put in effort Aaj, and then after 1 month, I have again put in second effort. Then after 2 months, you are going to put the effort. That's not how it's going to work. You have to put in the efforts frequently so that you're seeding the whole effort pipeline. So yeah, Pradyum, that's my take on not giving up.
Right. In fact, this brings me back to the memories of a great book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. That you don't necessarily need to make a great dramatic improvement overnight. Rather, what you could simply do is just 1% improvement each day. 1% improvement each day will make you end the year 37 point something something times better than how you started the year. At the same time, 1% deterioration each day will make you almost at zero level compared to how you started that year. So this is the power of compounding. Just one percent each day, and what matters is consistency. So whether it is about being resilient or it is about being successful, the important thing is consistency. Consistency is the key. And yeah, on that powerful note, I think I had planned it for later, but now that a powerful concept came up, so I thought I'll rather delay the rapid fire round, uh, and I'll prepone it that we have it right now, and let's see what comes up spontaneously. Discussing organizational psychology, what comes up spontaneously from the gem of the person that we are talking to today. So Ritesh, okay, let's start. You're ready for the rapid fire?
I didn't know that we are going to have rapid fire by the way, but okay, I'm ready.
ठीक है ना, it's just about getting into the brain of a serial entrepreneur and a successful one at that. So we'll gain something, is what I thought, and let's see how it goes. And in the meanwhile, I'll start cheating my questions because I can't, of course, remember so many of them at once. So first questions first. What does it actually mean to be a leader at the workplace? One or two lines maximum, okay? So what does it actually mean to be a leader at the workplace for you personally?
Aligning the team and setting the vision right. Basically, if you see an orchestra, you are the person who is conducting the orchestra. That is the leader.
Oh, that was some bit. That was great. Any tips for communicating effectively at work? One or two?
Any tips for communicating effectively at work? Two bits. One, of course, we have discussed, be a good listener, and be point to point. And a second would be, don't take anything personal. So if people do have that habit of taking things personal, oh, he left the meeting in the middle, this, that, don't take anything personal. It is workplace, place.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so how does one challenge himself to reach the goal? You talked about intrinsic motivation earlier. How does one challenge himself to reach his goals, his or her, whatever?
I think milestones are underrated. So, cutting your goals into smaller parts and then trying to achieve one small part at a time is quite underrated, I feel. So the answer is that.
And what about building relationships at work? And I mean, not just a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, but even strong bonded relationships like friendships or just a mentor mentee relationship in the form of boss and his employee. What about building these relationships?
So at workplace, I think you should just avoid your boyfriend girlfriend relationship. That is a big no from me, because that generally is kind of goes into the drain. But being what you are and being very open about, very genuine about what you want, will build a very long lasting relationships, and being generally helpful to people.
Okay, last few questions in the rapid fire. How to really focus at work? You touched upon this topic, that's why I'm taking it in rapid fire. How to really focus at work?
First of all, practicing focus other than your work, which includes in, of course, practicing creativity, this, that, hobby, वगैरह वगैरह. Second is using technology as at your advantage. A lot of people, especially developers and coders and all that, they plug in their earphones, they put binaural beats on. So it's a hack, I feel, that you can use to focus. And the third thing would be, Yeah, I think these two things generally are kind of life hacks.
Okay, so let me put it in another way also. How to bring one's creativity to the workplace. Now, you are creative maybe in some other way at home. How to bring that creativity to the workplace so that the entire organization gets benefited.
Okay, so generally this works in a physical organization, not on remote organizations. But having a day which is not your work day, I mean, you're not going to do work on that day. That day allocated for other activities, like probably creative adda, creative studio, wherein people bring in good ideas, new problems that people can solve. They can sit down and think about, giving speech on the topic of their choice or something like that. So all these activities are necessary, I feel. Generally all of these activities do work nicely in a physical workspace, but in remote workspace I feel we have not been doing it, so we are guilty of it, of course, but we should have these activities of uh, you know one person takes up one topic and speaks on it, and it's not related to work. So it
Okay.
can be
And
on cricket, like that.
yes, this is a very wonderful insight that you've given. And in fact, just will stop the rapid fire for once. And now that you've brought in this topic of, let's say, about the speech. So, what about if, let's say, someone has that fear of public speaking? Now, let's say it's a team of 20, 18 people spoke, the 19th and the 20th one, both of them have social anxiety. So, how exactly does one overcome the fear of public speaking in that case? And generally, we can extend this, extrapolate this answer to other areas as well.
Correct. So just give you an idea about what kind of person I used to be. I am a typical introvert. I was very bad in communication. I used to find very difficult to talk to people. And also, in fact, I was so bad that I couldn't order in a restaurant properly. But eventually, the thing is that practice makes a man perfect. वाला जो चीज है वही चीज है. You have to go out of your comfort zone first, and you have to start talking with people. If you're bad in, say, one language, English, maybe any other language, then you have to just practice in your native language to communicate with people. The point is about getting what is in your brain in front of the other people, and not worrying about how I'm going to speak and which language I'm going to use, what words I'm going to use. Am I going to do okay, all that. Just keep all the worries aside, and just focus on, okay, this is the thought in my brain, and I'm going to tell this thought to my audience in the most effective manner. That's it. That generally works for me. Now, regarding life hacks, I feel fake it till you make it has worked for me. So, I mean, it sounds quite funny, but in my initial days of public speaking, I used to keep a mental trigger for myself. So I used to write down what would a great public speaker in me would look like. So then one is he's going to talk like this, he's going to have this body posture, he's going to this, la la la, everything I used to write. And then when I used to take the mic in hand, I used to pretend that that person has arrived. It sounds very funny, but it has worked for me in the initial days, days of my public speaking. And once you have that, it can be a mic in your hand, it can be a wristwatch on your wrist, it can be anything. It can be a trigger, but you have to practice it, of course. And then once you go on the stage, you have the new avatar loaded, and then you can, speak. So that is a small life hack I used to use. In fact, now also I have to do public speaking almost every week to the team of entrepreneur 50 entrepreneurs that I generally conduct meetings for. And there as well, all are entrepreneurs, and they are the diggage of their fields, and you have to conduct the meeting in between them. I do have that feeling of, oh, am I gonna mess it up? How is it going to go? All the self doubts. Generally, all the entrepreneurs do have self doubts. Same do I have. And then the only one thing that my mind says is, okay, this is what is in your brain, you have to tell it to your people, and it ends it. All the anxiety is gone, I just conduct the meeting. So yeah.
That was really insightful, I would say. And yeah, so before we return to the rapid fire again, another question. How do you look at the work-life balance, the entire jargon? Is it a jargon? Is it a scam? And with recent comments from Cred's founder and Mr. Narayan Murthy, a lot of debate heating up in the country around these areas. So, how do you look at this work-life balance? Is it like what is the importance of it? If at all it is not a scam, and there have been entrepreneurs who've said it on record that work-life balance is just a scam and it is just strategy to not let you work and be successful and things like that. How do you find it? And if you find it impressive and important, what is it that you think is the importance of work-life balance?
So I think it's definitely not a scam. It's a choice. Okay. So you choose, you have limited time of your week. You choose to give your time to a specific priority and you grow in that. So if you give time to your work and probably you have imbalance, your personal life has got zeroed down and your work life has gone up, you're automatically going to grow in your work life, although you're not going to go grow in your personal life. So I see work life balance as a choice. If you want to be probably linearly growing in your work and you want a good personal life, choose work life balance. But if you want, if you are in your youth or if you are struggling and you are into not in your successful ages or in your successful years, then don't choose work life balance. Go for focused into improving yourself, doing work, getting work, doing double shift if you can, because that is the choice that you make. So work life balance, I feel, is just a choice that you make, and you have to sacrifice certain things if you go for a work life balance. Personally, what I believe is, especially the weekend concept of it, that people do say that, so I don't believe in that. Why? Because for me, it's not about you doing one work and then taking rest in your, out of the 7 days, you taking rest for 2 days. I believe don't take rest. If you are tired, then take rest, of course, because of course you're tired, you should take rest. But if you are not tired, then work on yourself. It can be anything. It can be enrolling for a course, it can be doing some training, it can be anything, building up your own website, I don't know. It can be anything. I prefer working on something, not resting if you don't need rest, because you will eventually condition your mind to work on 5 days and then automatically your mind will want to rest. It is as simple as, setting up your breakfast, lunch, and dinner timings. So if you have timing, say 9 o'clock, you have breakfast daily, automatically your body will condition yourself you to feel hungry at 9 o'clock. In fact, even if you don't need food, it will still, you'll still feel hungry. Same thing is with weekends and work life balance as well. If your body really needs rest, ask to yourself, and if it needs rest, take rest. Otherwise, work on yourself. So that would be my take on work life balance.
Wonderful, wonderful. In fact, it's so beautifully presented, and this entire concept that you presented. Lakshmi is also saying great insights. Thank you. And thank you for staying back, Lakshmi. I know we've extended the session a little bit and we will extend it a little more. So if you're finding these insights useful, spam the chat box saying BIO, bring it on. If you want more of such insights, just spam the chat box saying BIO, bring it on. That's what we want you to spam it, because there are still a few areas we need to discuss. There are still a few areas that needs more of your attention in case you have missed them so far. So okay, lots of BIOs now. That encourages me to go forth. But first, with the rapid fire round that we left midway. So,
Yes.
Ritesh, now there are certain questions that you have to answer based on your opinion, as your opinion, or based on your experience as the team leader. Not the idealistic answer is what I want from you. I want the practical, routine answer that you have been doing in life, practicing in life. All right. So, the first question is how to maintain a positive approach at work? Or rather, how do you maintain a positive approach at work?
Positive approach, you're talking about. Okay. Um, so it's difficult to maintain a positive approach. And I used to believe in being positive, being optimistic. But recently, I have shifted my perspective towards being harmonious. So for me now, it's more of harmonious attitude versus a positive attitude, because a lot of times what happens is you will be faced with a situation which is in such a deep dilemma that you can't be positive. So in that situation, you have to be thinking about what is the best for all, wherein there might be certain sacrifices that needs to be made, but then it's going to be a harmonious decision. So yeah, that
Okay,
is what
basically,
my
you
answer.
are shifting from optimism to realism and then accepting that reality, whatever it is. The
Yes.
acceptance is effectively what brings about harmony. Okay, that was great. And what is the role of EQ in workplace, according to Ritesh Kedar?
Uh,
Importance of EQ, emotional quotient, at the workplace.
so I feel I always have given EQ a higher value than IQ. The only reason being, the whole world is operated by humans, businesses are run by humans, opportunities are exchanged by humans, and humans take decisions majorly based on EQs and emotions. And that's why having a EQ is way too important than having IQ. Uh, and if you are willing to become a leader in your space, irrespective of if you're doing a small business, startup, job, anything, or a student, I feel having a great EQ, having understanding of human thoughts, emotions, the way they think, is going to take you far ahead. This comes into the people dealing aspect of things, is going to take you far ahead than just having a great IQ. Great IQ is almost equivalent to having a great talent. But what's the use of a great talent if the talent is not going to spike the right emotions in someone? So that is my take.
Wonderful. In fact, having the right kind of emotional intelligence, of course, is important because human is a social animal, and what that quote actually means is that you are run by your emotions more than your logical intelligence. And of
Very true.
course, emotions are also another aspect of intelligence. This is not something else. And it's great that people like you are now understanding the importance, and hopefully one day almost the entire industry will get the crux of it, that it is important and it needs to be paid heed to. Okay, so tell me, how do you negotiate conflicts at work?
Negotiating conflicts
Jaldi
at
se,
work.
come on, fatafat.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. Rapid
So
fire
it's
me,
a
you have
rapid
to
fire
be.
now. Sorry. So I think being professional and
Hmm.
being open are the two key factors in resolving any conflicts. Generally the conflicts do arise because of grudges or egos. When you become professional, you automatically keep the grudges, egos, all the biases aside. You become professional, you talk professionally and talk very openly. So that generally resolves most of the conflicts.
Right, right. That's great. And but this also being professional, don't you think it'll again? This is a auxiliary side by question. Don't you think it might hamper help-seeking attitude amongst peers in the workplace? What's your take on this? Like, how do
No,
you
no,
promote
no.
help-seeking if you are
So when
professional?
you say help seeking attitude, what do you exactly mean?
So let's say I have some personal problems going on in my life. Let's say a husband fought with his wife. It will automatically impair his working for the day. But if he or she is very particular and very professional, might not discuss it with friends, or because sometimes just help seeking doesn't necessarily mean asking for a lot of money or something like that. Simply something as simple as vent out your anger, just discuss it with it, emotional catharsis done and dusted, and you're good to go. So,
Yeah.
how
So
do
I
you?
think, yeah, I think this is a skill I feel. that you have to keep your professional side and personal side as well as public side quite bucketed. You can't mix it. If the moment you start mixing it, you will just ruin one or the other thing, I feel. Because I have observed a lot of people that, just because of a fight that they had with someone at home or on the way to office or something like that, they have vented out in even their office WhatsApp groups. And because of that, somebody also has got fired and got demoted and all that. uh, I feel that just bucketing out your personality into these 3 4 buckets is always going to help. When you are in office, when you are in your professional setting, you have to automatically let go all the personal whatever anger that you have or emotions that you have to be very professional. There are certain limitations, there are certain lines that you do not cross at office, at workspace, and you should not. If someone else is crossing that line, for example, a lot of time it happens that, okay, you are the idealistic professional, somebody else is not, and they come in and they went out on you, but you still have to be very professional and handle it professionally. You can't be a guy who is, then he's venting out, you're also venting out, and it becomes a cat fight. So it's a complete no-no. Irrespective of what the world does, you have to be professional and you have to handle everything professionally. You have to maintain that stature of the designation that you are given very gracefully, is what I generally prefer.
Right. So towards the end of the conversation, last three questions. What are the leadership skills in situations like the pandemic?
What are the leadership?
Leadership skills that you think helped you navigate through the times, challenging times like pandemic easily?
Ah, so I think one of the important leadership skill is finding opportunities. Finding opportunities, because pandemic came, half of the IT company was going down the drain. They stopped working. They shut down, and it was on the other side. There were a couple of industries like us, companies like us, who eventually started finding out what are the opportunities. Because all the times, whenever problems come, there are solution that comes in. So being opportunistic in nature is something that is going to work in things like pandemic.
Okay. And what about managing fatigue? Any stress management hacks?
Stress
Mental
management
fatigue, I'm
hack.
talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think doing a act, so I'm guilty of not doing it, just accepting it. So just de-stressing yourself by doing a focused activity other than your work, can be going for a walk, can be working out, can be doing a creative work like painting or whatever that you work. Some people do have drums, guitar, whatever. Having that one activity in your daily life which de-stresses you is going to work wonders. Most of the people don't have that. It can be also playing a game for half an hour. Yeah.
Right. Wonderful. So, last, making mental health a priority at workplace. Any message to the audience, all those of us who have joined us today, and those of us who will be watching us over online mediums? Okay, what is it?
As in making mental health your priority
At the workplace.
at the workspace. Yeah. So I think we have almost covered the same topic throughout the session. And I would again sum it up for you guys. My take on this would be that irrespective of what work you are getting, irrespective of how much stressed you are, in irrespective of how much pressure you are in, take just half an hour. That half an hour can be divided in 10 hour, throughout the day, or maybe half an hour once. Just take this half an hour for yourself, shut down everything, just sit in boredom, do nothing, and that should just work for you. So yeah.
Right. That was it was great having all those wonderful insights from you, Ritesh. I'd open it up for the audience in case any of you have any questions or suggestions or comments. How did you find the session? Anything feel like sharing, please do so in the comment section. And in case you want to come on stage, come on the camera, please feel free to do so. Any questions are more than welcome. And in the meanwhile, again, by the time we are receiving questions, Ritesh, how do you work from home? ये जो work from home वाला concept था, tell me something about it, because of course this is something that is quite alien to the nature of work of my profession. So work from home. How
So
do you work from home?
how do I work from home, as in the team, right?
Obviously your company and
So
entire thing.
it's very straightforward and simple. Our work is a digital work. We require laptops and the laptops only to do work. And that's why we just have a couple of tools that we have set up. Slack is something that we use a day in day out, and we coordinate on Slack. We have morning update, evening update. We work on a goal based approach, so we have a weekly goal generally, and though everyone has to work towards achieving that work, we have flexible working hours. Generally the team is available from 9:30 to 7:30 is what I tell people to work in. But the team, if someone has uh, to take somebody has to take their mom to a doctor, or you have anything, somebody has a child to take care of, so they need the work, that flexibility of work, so they are given that flexibility of work. The goal is that you complete your work in time, and I am happy, and then you can do whatever the hell that you want with your time. So that is how I work, and it has been working for us. It has given us a good peace of mind, and our team also loves, I'm sure, working from home, because then they get time for their gym, exercise, dance practice, whatever that they do. So it's just a collaboration and a trust basically we have in each other, that yeah, he's going to do the work and he's going to submit the work. That's it.
Great. That was wonderful to know that you have a very close-knit, well-bonded team. It's a privilege to have, really. I'm sure you'd echo those words. And looking from it, looking at it from the outside, it's always such an envious position to look at, that someone's built such a great team. It's a wonderful job. Well done, mate. And thank you so much for all the insights that you've given to us through all the experiences that you've gotten over whatever the last decade of work that you've gone through, the experience that you've gained, the mistakes that you've made. And yeah, thank you so very much, helping at least me understand and gain an insight of what it feels like to be on the other side of table and seeing things, managing things, leading teams, building successful businesses. So business की बात, we I think were able to explore quite a bit of workplace psychology. Again, a big thanks to all those of you who took out some time on a weekday, on a Tuesday evening, gaining these insights. And as I said, this session wouldn't have been possible without you, Ritesh. So thank you so very much for sparing out your time.
Thank you so much, Pradum, for hosting this session. First of all, it was your initiative, and it was the question that you asked were quite, really good quality questions, so that I could answer it. So all kudos to you for asking those questions, and thank you so much for all the people who has joined in the session and listened to us after we went quite out of the times that we allocated. But yeah, thank you so much for all of you guys for being a great audience.
Thank you so much, everyone. Hope you have a great weekend ahead and happy Diwali in advance.